like this that, in particular. So let me ask this: was this I missed that last part. Was it a dynasty format?
No. This is a redraft points league.
Okay, and how deep was the league? I missed that too. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. I actually did not mention that. He's actually in a 10-man league.
Okay, perfect. So, and if it's a points league, that makes sense. And you said it's warranted four bigs. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's still a buy low moment. Obviously, I was gonna say it would emphasize on what the building is or what type of build
Mm-hmm.
strategy, but it's a points league, so I will actually take the Drew Holiday side in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are buying low in that aspect. I'll pass you before I pass you the ball. Like I was mentioning to the listeners, we like to do different strategies when it comes to podcasting. That we like to bring people off the bench, and it's LT the Sage. How you doing today? Running the three, brother.
Oh, I'm doing good. Good to be here, brothers.
Right
Yes,
on,
yes.
right on.
Not only that, he came off the bench. He's probably gonna light this episode up because it's his birthday, man.
Hey, the
Oh,
big.
happy birthday, LT.
Hey, appreciate it, man. The big 3-0, man. Never felt older. I mean better.
There
I'm
we
sorry.
go.
I meant better.
No, maybe he was right the first time.
Oh yeah, I think I was.
Yeah.
So
think I
Oh, I
lost
think I lost you guys.
you.
oh,
Yeah.
my bad. I'm sorry. Must have had it cut off.
Oh shoot, still cut off.
Yeah. Got us.
LT's there though, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
here. I'm here. Hey, man, what was the question about? Heard something about Drew Holiday.
Yeah. So in a points league here, a listener asked, what if what if what if he traded Bam for Holiday? Because
Mm.
I suggested him to buy low on Holiday, and he had to give up one of his four big men. So he wanted to see um, if he could if he could swap those. And
Mhm.
I was questioning it a little bit, but I wanted to see what your thoughts were. LT, what do you think?
Yeah, just catching the tail end of what Stark said. I definitely would take the Drew side of that for sure. Depending on your other
Mhm.
big men, depending on how your depth is, Bam is a nice piece, but I feel like he's more of a dynasty dandy than as far as points
Mhm.
leagues is concerned. Drew's been a little bit slow to start, but you would imagine he'll pick up here and do a little better in points format. So yeah, I would definitely, depending on your depth, yeah, I would take that trade at any day of the week.
Yeah, I agree here. So I'm going to invite Starks back onto here. We
Perfect.
fumbled the ball a little bit, but I think we got Starks back on. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. It looks like we did. As soon as you bring someone off the bench, sometimes you get a little too excited and turnovers happen for sure.
That's okay. That's okay. So, LT, the birthday boy here, he agreed with us. He wants to go. He wants to go. He wants to go with the holiday side. So, yeah, I definitely agree. That's a solid trade right there.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to pass you the ball there, Starks. Do you have a listener question for us?
Yeah, and it looks like with the before we get to that, because that missed segment there was a massive turnover on both ends. So, you
Mm.
guys, just to understand, you guys both picked the Drew Holiday side as well. Is my understanding?
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
okay,
Oh yeah.
perfect, perfect. So here was an interesting question that I got here. A lot of questions actually blew up to me today, in the excuse me, in the spectrum. But let me get to it. So I had just put a tweet out, something like, I am not selling high on Brogdon, right? And I basically got loaded with questions out of
Mm.
nowhere today. And
Mm-hmm.
and what's funny about it is it wasn't even towards the question wasn't even towards Brogdon, except for like one person. Everybody wanted to just chip in inputs on other questions, which is perfectly fine, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So this was an interesting question. I like and I love it. He said, "Will Draymond Green bounce back? Is he worth a buy low attempt? He's in a 24 team league dynasty list of 15 players, 8 category
Whoa.
league, And I just told him straight off the bat, like I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm scared. I don't think I want to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But I was just saying, who would it be, right? So the person he had mentioned was trading Dylan Brooks. Oh, I was like, well, hold on.
Mm.
I said, is this a win now situation or long terms? He said, well, it's a
Right.
it's a long term, or no, it's a win now situation. I'm like, okay, so I'm thinking who may be the player he's trying to accomplish this trade, because I already told him off the bat I'm scared of Draymond Green this year at this point in
Yeah.
time with Golden State. But he was like, I might be able to get Dylan Brooks for Draymond Green. I will pass you the ball there. Sage, what do you say on that? Which side do you take?
Whew, that's a man.
Hmm.
I'm actually I'm a little scared on Draymond too, only because it really looks like the Warriors are really digging deep on this, just letting this season just go to waste. And
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks, oh man, he's a young talent. He looks, he's like one injury away from getting heavy minutes. I wouldn't do it. I just Draymond
Mm.
may come back. He is a competitor. You got to think about his attitude. He is a competitor. He is someone who's gonna, if he can play, in most cases he will. But I have a really fishy suspicion that they're all just gonna load management the whole year down in Golden State. And so I would just take Dylan because Dylan's one maybe injury in Memphis away from getting heavy minutes. So I would keep. I wouldn't go with Draymond. It's too iffy. What you think, White
Um,
Knight?
And let me actually steal the ball
mm.
real quick, because we're recording while games are going on. Ben Simmons goes to the locker room, and another
Ooh.
report came out on top of that he couldn't move his arm, I
Uh,
believe. So
Oh
we'll
no.
be we'll be on the watch for that. But go ahead, White Knight. Which side do you choose, brother?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, that's tough. If he's just looking to compete this year, I'm going to agree. I'm scared. I'm scared of Draymond this year, just because, like you guys know, I think the tank. I think that the tank is on. They're going to they're going to prolong Curry's hand. They're going to have Russell sit as much as they can. They're going to have Green sit out. So I definitely think this is a lost year for all of the Warriors. But saying that, I mean, Draymond was just signed to a 4-year, $100 million contract, so he's there for a few more years after this. But if you're just looking to compete now with no worries of the future, then go with Brooks. But I don't like the trade, even though I actually do. I like Brooks. I actually, in one of our dynasty leagues, I bought him extremely low right
mm,
before the season because he did great in his rookie year, injured all last year, and he has the opportunity on this young team. So yeah, he does have the opportunity. But let's say the Grizzlies sign a big free agent who likes what they see. Dylan Brooks is being pushed to the bench because I don't think he long term he's going to be the solution there if they want to compete. I think he's a great 7 man,
mm-hmm.
7 to like 6 man or 7th man. So if it's just this year, absolutely take it. But a dynasty, a 24 team league at that,
Mm.
I don't take that trade. I keep Draymond, even though that's some great points you made, LT. I think I'm going to think a little bit more long term in that Green definitely has a lot more value, even though it's kind of a lost season. But hey, like you said, Draymond uh, is a competitor. He just might be load managed once he does come back. What do you think there, Starks?
Yeah, so I thought you were going to about to say, and I think both situations as far as what points you guys made was really valid in that aspect. I honestly thought you were still going to go with LT on that, the Dylan
Mm-hmm.
Brooks side. I honestly still would go the Draymond Green side, just because of unfortunately it is a scary thing. Now, as I told the listener, um, that's actually a new listener. We appreciate you as well. Thank you for shouting our podcast out.
Yes.
Thanks,
Yes.
brother.
So I will say that in particular is that it is a slight risk, to keep that in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the points you had mentioned, both of you guys, some good points. Is one of the things is he looks more of a back end player for me in particular, and he's actually having a pretty good season.
I was about to
To
say, yeah.
He's
Mm-hmm.
having a
Mm-hmm.
he's having a good season, and it's nothing I'm ignoring. per se, because a player that me and LT I think we talked about earlier was like Grayson Allen. That I thought maybe
Yeah.
I thought seriously Grayson Allen might be able to snipe some of the time from him, but you got to keep playing Dylan Brooks at this point. We can't really put him on this situation and not think he's not putting up some decent stats. But anyways,
Mm.
back to the point at hand here is it's a slight risk, but again, just like what Jacob said, they signed a big contract there for Draymond Green, so he's going to be there. And it's not like you're trading someone that is a top 75-ish or even a 50 player for Draymond Green on that risk. This guy is like a top 100-ish back end, even behind that, in particular. So I don't think that's the massive risk, and I'm going to take that type of risk. That's a low risk to me, because to me, that player in particular, Dylan Brooks, if you drafted him, the likelihood, even in the deep dynasty format, there's a potential possibility you could have picked him up from the free agency, but if not, you got him very deep in a draft. You cut coupons on him in particular. So in my logic, I don't think it's a really massive hurt if you take that risk. He's not going to be a top. Dylan Brooks is. I'll just say this: I'm pretty confident to say he's not going to be a top 50 player or better in his career. But he can prove me wrong. But anyways, I still would go with the Draymond Green sign, even if they tank it up, which it does look like that seems to be the case. Even if you can look for next year too, because if you're in a win now situation, I look at it like this: if you're in a win now situation, yeah, you want to try to win this year, but you also want to have the mentalities. If you can't win this year, is there a good likelihood you can win next year, right? So that could be the potential thing too. So we actually go ahead, and Jacob, I have that, so I'll pass you the ball if you want to run the offense there, man, for the recent game.
Very good. Yeah, absolutely. We're going to switch gears here, and we're going to go to some of the games, and some games have already been played, and we're going to jump right into the Pacers and Wizards game here. The Pacers won 121 to 106. We have some weird stat lines from the Wizards, so I'm going to pass the ball here to LT. What do you see there, and what's going on?
Yeah, so the Wizards Indiana game, looks like the Pacers did win that game, but I have a Sabonis sighting. It looks like, man. So he had 17 rebounds and 7 assists. He doesn't really get you those assists from what I've seen on a normal basis. So the fact that he put up 7 assists, 17 rebounds in only 27 minutes, that's pretty stout. He did fall out, so he didn't put up as many points. Now, what I will say, and I want to touch on, I know we touched on Brogdon, but since everyone's looks like they're bringing up questions on Brogdon recently, this is maybe the first really inefficient game he's had in a while. But I want to just kind of counteract that with saying that even in a 35-minute inefficient game, he still gave you a double-double, 13 assists, 1 swipe, and 12 points. If that's the low end for Brogdon, then you got to just, I mean, if that's the low end, then you got to keep him. You got to hold pat on him. White Knight, what do you feel about Jakar Sampson just coming out of nowhere on the starting lineup for the Pacers?
That seems like a complete outlier to me, but like I'm going to give him his props. That is a great
weird,
night. I'm not going to overreact apart from like 16 team leagues, like redraft and super deep dynasty. But yeah, I mean like to me that's extremely random. But hey, that's awesome. The bigger story here I wanted to say about the Pacers starting lineup is that they started Aaron Holiday, and I want to pass the ball there to Starks. What do you think about that, brother?
Aaron Holiday, that's an interesting call there for him to start. He's always been a guy, I felt like, one of the Holidays should get the time, and it's good to see that happen. But as you know, I was hoping, even though Sabonis is back, I was hoping Goga would get the minutes, would still start. But it kind of makes sense that he would because of Sabonis being that back. But to kind of pivot back to Sabonis real quick, or actually a point that LT made was kind of just still proving my point there about Brogdon is if this is a low end game from him, I'm not selling high on him. He's a player that I'm believing in this, moving forward, and that's even with Dippo coming back. But To kind of go back to Sabonis, though, he LT, to be fair, he can potentially get those assists for a big man out of position stats. It's just all about if he gets the time. Now he did get the time last year. He was
Mm-hmm.
close to 3 assists last year.
Okay.
But it is a good thing to see for this year for his assist rate to bump up. But especially for a big man, that's good to see 7 assists. But back to Aaron Holiday in particular, it's a good sight to see. I don't know how at this point Indiana. I mean, this is pretty much like a secondary team of mine and how they're going to operate. But Miles Turner was close to come back in this game, so he'll be back a lot sooner than later. And then we have to also understand that what's his name? Jeremy Lamb didn't play this game as well too.
Yeah.
So and then one more stat line, which is it almost seems like Doug McBuckets he has these type of popcorn games every once in a while. So I'm not saying you should be in a rush to get him, but because he kind of does that. So I'll pass you the ball there, LT, if you want to touch up on Washington side, man.
Yeah, definitely. So on Washington side, they had Orochimaru had a weird game. 20 minutes, wasn't in foul trouble, 0 for 5, 8 rebounds. I mean, he was on the boards, but man, you hate to see it. There was some heavy scoring coming from 2 guys. Thomas Bryant, again, that's one of me and I think Starks' gems this year. We really like Thomas Bryant this year. 7 for 7 from the charity for a big man is almost unheard of, except for Cat maybe. So that's really good to see. And then Bradley Beal, if you want to check out some highlights of the game, Bradley Beal is just hitting everything. It's absolutely crazy. The only thing he couldn't hit was a 3, 1 for 12, 1 for 12. Yeah. But to be honest, if you're an owner of Beal and most owners took a late first round, early second round pick on him, for him to shoot 12 threes in a game is you like to see it. Pumped up the volume, 29 shots. So he's there. I'm actually gonna kick this. I'm gonna kick this over to White Knight. Where did IT go? Isaiah Thomas, man. He was there. He was there tonight.
I'm with you, brother. His minutes are going to be around there, 20. And like he did kind of pump up the volume with 10 shots. He just wasn't very efficient with it. I just empty stats. 10 points, 4 assists. Like 3 for 10. He did get you 2 snipes. I always say though, if you got him from and you just cut like dead weight at the end of your bench, like Starks, like he told you to, he's still giving you that solid value. Even though it's a down game, he's still starting. He gave you something, and it was at the expense of dead weight at the end of your bench. So I think that better days are to come, but I'm actually going to pass the ball to Starks here because it's your boy, and I want to know what you think about this game.
Oh, yeah. Then you guys know I'm going to stick up for my guy here, the pizza guy. Isaiah Thomas. And I'll ask you this, LT, why I know you guys are, juicing the orange. Well, wait a minute. We're recording while games are going on. It looks like Ben Simmons' shoulder. He won't return back in this game. So
oh, no.
We're going to be looking for reports as we're recording here. But, since you guys are juicing the orange, let me go ahead and just throw this out there to you, LT. How's Rose looking? Is he playing tonight?
I knew you was gonna do that. That's what's so sweet about it. I knew that was gonna be the rebuttal. Hey man. Hey. Rose is more efficient than Isaiah tonight. That's all I gotta say. I wanted to say something real quick, Star. I'm gonna steal the ball from you just for kicks. The second leading attempt shot on a guy is CJ Miles, a blast from the past, 3-point special. No. CJ, that's right. I can go for miles and miles and miles. The snipe specialist. I don't know if this is just a one-off game or if they're gonna stick him in the rotation. I'll keep my eyes on it for our listeners. I'll put my sage eye on CJ. He's a great 3-point specialist if he gets the minutes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was a good call there. Let me say one thing about Isaiah Thomas though, real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't too pretty, but I'll tell you what's handy about him. at this point in time. Obviously, he's starting. He may not get the high 20s yet. I think as time progresses on, he could. And obviously, if he starts to kind of disappear, you can cut bait with him. But I'll say this: what's handy about him, if you're a team that needs assists, he's averaging 7 this year.
Mm.
So that is very handy on any team that needs assists. You can't just pick up a player or guard at that's going to give you that many assists, even in particular. So that's solid. Whether he's efficient or not. But he didn't have the best of game here today. But going back to here on this game in particular, yeah, Orochimaru had a poor game. And honestly, in a dynasty format, I'm gonna buy low on him because he is a pretty much a watered down Rudy Gay type player, and I think he can be a player solid in the future in that aspect. Troy Brown didn't have the best game. Better days are to come for him too. So I do like him as a stash player in particular. So I'll pass you back the ball there, Jacob. If there's anything else you want to touch up, or you want to go to the next game.
Yeah. Let's go to the next game here. Let's go to the Roseless Pistons over here. Pistons versus Knicks.
Oh man, I can't. I know.
Birthday boy.
I know.
Yeah,
hey man, I'll take all. I'll eat all the crow. That's okay.
Hey, let me go ahead and steal that
That's
ball too,
fair.
man. I just also thought about the last episode. G Hay had an explosion, and I kind of felt like that's why he wasn't there yesterday, man.
Oh, missed you, LT.
Hey man. Hey, why did I looked at the stats? I was like, man, Tatum had 40 points. Wait a second. that's G-A. What? I saw some of the highlights. Yeah, he looked good. He looked great that game, but those tires are probably falling off now. He's probably not gonna do well. Oh, here we go. He's probably gonna score 50 next game now. So we'll see. Perfect.
Go ahead.
Oh boy.
Oh,
We'll see. Well, so the Pistons won here, 122 to 102. We still don't have any Blake Griffin. We don't have, of course, the aforementioned Rose. But I mean, we got some solid games. Always reliable. Andre Drummond went off, 12 for 16, 27 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. Wow. 1 steal and no blocks, but the assists are super nice to see. Just wow. Man, I can't say enough about him, man. He went 3 for 4 at the free throw line. I mean, he's looking good to stay a top 10 player for the year if he can keep this up. But I'm going to pass the ball to you there, Starks. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this. It gripes me because it's I have Drummond in none of my leagues, and I was really hyping him up before the season started, and I just didn't draft him, and that's shame on me. But Luke Kennard, man, he's been crafty with this starting position, for the time being, with the 12 points, 9 rebounds, and 7 assists. So that's nice to see. Thonmaker, I'll just skip him. Christian Wood. Christian Wood is his minutes. It's always going to make sense. I'm going to talk about him in the dynasty format, still stashed in the deep league. But your boy there, Bruce Brown, he's given. It doesn't seem like it's pretty stats, but I'm gonna be honest with you. These are handy stats, and I think it's overlooked in fantasy. That's really important. These type of games in particular, it looks like the Rubio S type numbers, low key. So that is a little handy for you in Detroit. Now, it's almost like his value kind of hurts when Rose and Blake Griffin comes back, but he doesn't need usage. That's not his thing, so it may not even hurt him anyway. So I'll pass you the ball there, LT. What's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I wanted to go ahead, and I definitely want to. Drumsticks is playing out of his mind right now. Number one right now. He's just the biggest thing I see with Drumsticks. Just real quick, it's just his free throws. He's staying. He's staying missing maybe 1 to 2 free throws a game, and he's staying within that 60 to 70% range. He stays there with his efficiency in other areas. He's definitely gonna stay in that top 10, top 15 area this year. A player I wanted to use my sage eye on is Tony Snell. We were making fun of him in the last one. Snell you later, but he smelled the basket. 9 for 9, 6 for 6 from 3. If you streamed him, if you put him in your lineups, I actually had the option of picking him up, and I chose not to stream today. And I look at this 100% efficiency, 6 for 6 from. I mean, he's not always going to do that, but if this is his role on this team, if you need a 3-point specialist, that's all he does. Take a look for Snell. He's getting the right. He's putting the ball in the basket. But just to move up to New York. Jay Randall, my guy, Randall the Scandal, he put in 8 for 15 field goals, 3 snipes from Randall. That is what I want to see him increase this year. If he can increase those threes and cut down on his turnovers, he's going to continue to be an asset in 12 team leagues. I gotta send this over to you, Starks. What do you feel about this Marcus Morris resurgence? His last 3 games have been absolutely ridiculous. What do you feel about that?
You know what's interesting? I'm glad that you brought Marcus Morris up because I'm actually working on the article real quick on the high usage rate players, and it kind of segues into the Jason Tatum effect this year that obviously he's pumping up the volume. The thing is, as you guys, we talked about Kyrie Irving or leaving there, and then Kemba, like you had mentioned before, it's almost like you're trading apples and oranges essentially in fantasy in particular. But it's like, okay, well, if you're doing that, then here's one thing. Here's a cheat code that many people may not know, and I was doing research today, and it really kind of baffled me, is that what if I told you guys that Kemba Walker's usage rate is a little bit higher this year versus it was in Charlotte, right?
It's crazy.
Not only that, but his usage rate was higher this year, or currently right now higher this year than what Kyrie's was last year. So you're like, well, who's taking the usage rate, right? What if I told you it was Marcus Morris? I'm like, wait a minute. Like, well, hold on. It's like his usage rate. I mean, it wasn't, not to be fair, it wasn't extremely high. It was around the 20-21 range, but he was getting the usage rate when he was on the court. So this kind of like I was still baffled by that because I was like, well, obviously we knew Terry Rozier was there and he left, and there was Al Horford as well too. But it was like Marcus Morris was a key cog there in Boston that was kind of overlooked in the usage rate. So tying it back down to this situation is Marcus Morris, he's just a player that will jack up shots if you give him the opportunity to on any team. That's kind of who he is. And this was a pretty good game, needless to say. And kind of tying back to, I'm going to put my villain mask on. And force, I try to be the good guy here, and just in general for the listeners, because I'll be honest with you, I'll take the heat on this because I mentioned this before this season started on Mitch Robinson. He got a concussion this game in particular. And he had to sit out the rest of the game. So why I'm putting the villain mask on, unfortunately, is because I kept saying, like, I can't pay the premium on this guy in any format because you're going to have to pay a back-end first-round pick or an early second-round pick. And obviously there's some third-round picks. I just kept saying, listen, if you're not getting the slaps or the blocks, then who are you? I understand that it is important to get those block categories, but I kept saying, just be careful, right? And obviously Fizdale, the situation. Now, I'll take the heat also on my prediction being wrong as of right now with the DSJ situation and the Knicks. But the thing is about that is I took a minor risk on DSJ because he was a 200-player ADP in Yahoo, so that wasn't something that's going to hurt me. But I'll still take the heat for that because I'm wrong on that right now. But for Mitch Robinson, any GM that took that risk right now, it is not looking good right now. But I'll also say this, from my understanding in the report that I heard through the grapevine, that he could have potentially came back in the game, but Fizdale was like, nah, you can just not even come back in this game. So I hope that's not true, but it would not be surprising to me. Now, to be fair, Mitch Robinson started out okay with the 7 minutes, but if you're in a dynasty format, now I'll say this, people, and this is an ISO rate, people are starting to panic at this point in time. I wouldn't panic that bad. I'm not bashing him, but I'm just letting you know, just be careful how you perceive some of these players because the hype, the echo was so loud for him this year. But if you're going to sell him, make sure that you get something respectable in return. Because here's another quick ISO rant again, because a listener actually reached out to me today, was like, this was kind of unfortunate and embarrassing, but this happens in leagues sometimes, right? So the guy was like, "Hey Starks, do I trade? Who was it? I have Mitch Robinson. I'm getting tired of this. I'm getting frustrated. Should I trade Mitch Robinson for Rashawn Holmes?" I was just like,
Oh
like
wow.
good. I was like, "Good Lord, man, it's unfortunate,
Whoa.
but yeah, it's like people do panic. It is too early in the season. There
Mm,
should be better
Yeah.
days to come. I'm not saying he's going to be bad this season. There's still
yeah.
better days to come, but when you pay a premium, that is the potential issue that it comes in a cost to. So I'll get off my soapbox rant and I'll pass you the ball, Jacob. Who do you want to touch up on in this game, man?
Yeah. So really quickly before we move on, I did want to touch up on Frank
Yeah.
Ntilikina.
Ntilikina.
Um, insane. He got the most minutes out of anyone right here with 39 minutes. And last game, I don't believe he got much. So it's definitely on and off. You don't know what you're gonna get, and like what what uh, what Stark says. I mean, like Fizdale, man, he's gonna. What's that saying, Starks?
Yeah, he's going to fizz you up like Big K Soda, man.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's doing, except for two players, Julius Randle and RJ Barrett. They're always going to be a consistent 30 to 40 minutes somewhere in there. Like he's not going to back down from that. But you never know what you're going to get from Frankie N. And for now, he's definitely on the streaming radar. Um, but just don't expect much because he could just come out and only play 20 minutes and get you nothing. So don't overreact too much. But RJ Barrett had a very inefficient game, albeit in a points league. You're happy with everything that he did, but his field goal percentage was 4 for 12. His free throw 6 for 11. So he had a poor game, but at least he's getting that usage for sure. So we're going to move on to the Bulls and Hawks game. And before I pass the ball here, I just want to say that I am elated about Lauri Markkanen's game right now. He went 6 for 11 with 4 threes, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, which is definitely out of the ordinary, but hey, it's awesome to see, and 17 points. Now, this is more of what we were expecting to see from him consistently and why I was so high on him to start the year. I was expecting to see this consistently and even like a bump in rebounds. Like he only got 5, but like I'm expecting 8 to 9 a game. So even now with this good game, you still have the opportunity to buy low if you are savvy enough. That's my advice to you before he does this consistently and goes on a tear. I mean, it may not happen, but I believe that it will. It's only, there's only been 8 games, 9 games so far in the year. So definitely don't give up on him. And if you can buy low, do it. But I'm going to pass the ball here to LT. What'd you see here on the Bulls or the Hawks side, brother?
Yeah, man, appreciate that. I wanted to just give you some thumbs up on your Frankie call out on the Knicks. Nilikina, yeah, getting those 39 minutes. So good job. I like that. I want to keep my sage eye
Crazy.
on him. Yeah, I think that might be good. I think they did well with him. But just to get over to Atlanta side, real weird game for Atlanta. Trigger Trey, the new one, Trey
Mm-hmm.
Young came out and he actually did not have a good game. One of his first bad
Ooh.
games in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He hit all his free throws, but 0 from 8 from the three, so it was just an off game from him. Usually he'll hit about 4 to 5 of those, and his stat line would be a lot better. So this is just a one off. Don't nothing to see here. Just a bad game from Trigger Trey. But hanging. Hanging with the Parkers, Jabari Parker. I wanted to
Yes.
talk about him real quick because Jabari Parker to me sounds like someone that should be good. You watch him on the court, you see his size, you see his ability, some of the things he's able to do, and you just don't understand why he just can't seem to, get footing in the NBA. But he got 29 minutes tonight on this Hawks team. Um, got 6 for 12, 5 for 5 from the charity, 5 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 block. Don't go picking him up just yet, but keep an eye. If he can hang around that 30-minute range on this Atlanta team, there's not much there as far as production from an offensive side. I mean, they do have Bembry, who's been playing decent recently. Somehow, Vince Sanity came out and scored 14 points.
Yeah.
I don't understand how that happens,
Yes.
but
Insanity.
insanity. But yeah, if he can find his way into the rotations here as a starter with 30 minutes or more, I like him as a pickup or streamer option on a weekly basis. So definitely keep an eye out for him. What do you think, Starks, about the Chicago or Atlanta?
I think that was a good call on Jabari Parker there
Yeah.
because what's interesting even more about that is actually I might even be willing to take a flyer on him. I mean, it's going to obviously emphasize on how deep your league is. I'm just trying to think. I was about to say, man, there's got to be someone injured. Of course, It's John Collins is out
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
and I was like, where's this coming from? But no, that makes sense. But what I think he's worth a grab, even if it's temporary, because his minutes is on a nice bump right here. And just his last few games, he has 23 points, 19 and 18 this past game, and it's been 25 minutes and up. He's definitely worth an addition, I think, for a temporary hold. And it's just one of those things. He's always had. It's like you wanted him to be good in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
It's like what happened, and then he was in Washington momentarily, right?
Yeah, real quick.
Yep. Real quick, and then he's in Atlanta. So hopefully, maybe he gets a fresh start. Whenever John Collins comes back, I think it's fair to say he's going to have a pivoted role, Parker, regardless. And it's not going to be this many minutes. We wouldn't think so, but it's a good sight to see for sure. And I think that was a good player to talk about. And I'll say this again in a deep format, Dynasty that is Bruno Fernando. His minutes is starting to come up a little bit there. 10 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. And he was very efficient. Kevin Porter, it's like, he's got the minutes lifted, the restrictions lifted, but like he's only still getting 23 minutes. So I don't know what that's about. Just let him play. I mean, maybe he still has a little owie right now, right? So one thing I definitely want to touch up on is, the rookies of Reddish and Hunter. I kept asking myself before the season, who may be the better rookie on this team? And I just really hope to see one of them flourish. I mean, it's still young in the season, so that's something nice to see. And then lastly, that I want to talk about is no, I think that's it for me. Actually, I'll pass you the ball there, White Knight.
Yeah. Really quick. I mean, like, I tweeted it out. I told you guys yesterday. I actually think that you should grab Parker just because he's starting and getting all the, all those minutes. But once Collins comes back, I mean, he's going to be right back to the bench. He's going to only get you like 15 to 20 minutes a game. But for now, I mean, the Hawks are leaning on him. Like he was tied for the most shots in this game, and he even got you those lucky stats with the steals and the blocks. As you would say, Stark. So I definitely say that you should pick him up, especially in a points league. He's tearing it up right now. So keep an eye out on that for sure. So I wanted to actually really quick on the Bulls. It's we have a Satoransky sighting here.
Finally.
He shot. Yeah. Oh, right. Finally, he shot 10 for 13, 4 snipes, 7 rebounds, 8 assists. It's like someone told him that he wasn't being aggressive, and he took the bait. So I mean, that's awesome to see. I don't know if anyone else wants to touch up on anyone else before we move on.
No, well, go ahead, LT.
Oh, I was gonna say you want to see. I would imagine he was going pretty early in drafts in my eyes. But Wendell Carter Jr. He was going pretty early in my drafts, and I just didn't like. I mean, he's been playing decent so far, but I just don't know. He's had some decent games so far this year, but last 2 games haven't been the greatest. Keep an eye on Wendell. I mean, hopefully the rest of the season evens out and he's a little bit more consistent. But he did have a bad game, so you hope this is just a one-off.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real quick. Thanks for touching up because that's where I was aiming at
Yeah,
too. I was just like, why did he only get 13 minutes? Because he fouled out. So
fouled
I'm like,
out.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that's what happened there. So we
Uh,
can transition to the next game there, Jacob. Who was the next teams? I mean,
yes. So the next game I wanted to touch up on is the Raptors and Kings. That just went final. The Raptors won 124-120. Man, all these games are super high scoring. If you look at these
Yeah.
finals,
love
they
it.
are well into the 100s. Everyone scored at least 100 except for the Hawks. But uh, with the Raptors and Kings, I wanted to highlight the most boring player in the NBA there, guys, Harrison Barnes.
Oh, Barnes and Nobles.
Barnes and
Barnes and
Noble.
Nobles. That's
Yeah.
hilarious. Exactly. He
Oh.
actually got the job done with the most minutes. He
Yeah.
took the second most shots. He was 7 for 15, 4 snipes, 8 of 10 from the free throw. I mean, his usage was insane here. I mean, uh, that's definitely uncharacteristic, and I
Mm.
wonder if he was if someone also told him to be more aggressive because he definitely was right there. I mean, that is great to see if you are a Barnes owner right there. I'm gonna pass you the ball there, Starks. What else did you see on the Kings, or if you want to go to the Raptors there?
I'll just touch up highlight real quick. And actually, before I do that, did you want to highlight on this Sacramento side, LT, or did you want to go to the Toronto?
I'll do it real quick. I do
Okay.
have I do you know Toronto's my little squad there, but I do want to touch up real quick on Sacramento.
Yeah, go
Barnes and
ahead.
Nobles, like White Knight said, yeah, it's crazy what he's doing. Rashawn Holmes on Holmes is
Yeah.
getting the
Thank you.
minutes. Deadman is a dead man. Cut him if you have him.
Yeah,
Go ahead and cut him. I
Oh
told you the
man.
Sage Eye doesn't lie. I watched him play that one time, and I'm telling you, the energy, the mistakes,
yeah.
he yeah, just Holmes on Holmes is in full effect. And yeah, everybody else, Bogdan has been playing also very well in that 6-man role, and I
hmm
think he actually started a couple games too. So just
hmm
a couple quick points, but if you have Deadman and you've been holding on to him, don't. He's a dead man.
Dead,
See ya.
dead man walking.
Dead
So
man
no,
walking.
but no, you highlighted pretty much the players I wanted to talk about. Last night, I will say is Bogdan
Mm,
Bogdanovic, which is he was getting a little frustrated with his role earlier this season, and
okay.
honestly, he should be the player that I would love to have on my fantasy team in particular, but I guess it just comes with the minutes over there. Nemanja Bjelica, I mean, just go ahead and start Bojan, but Tubal pretty much, at this point in
hmm
time. So,
Yeah.
but I understand you need that punch off the bench per se. But I'll
hmm
say this: the Deadman situation is unfortunate. So, um, Toronto side, I know that this is one of your other teams here. I'll pass you the ball there, brother.
Oh no, man! You could have touched up on it. Again, OG, the original OG,
Yeah.
coming
Yep.
through again. I love this guy, man. Look at this efficiency: 7 for 10, three
Yes.
snipes. He needed to. I wish he would have hit at least one more free throw to really just set it off. But 6 rebounds, 5 assists, didn't get you a swipe, no turnovers, didn't hurt you in 9 cat category leagues, and
Mhm.
3 blocks on 18 points. I mean,
Mhm.
this is just a line and a half for where you got him in your draft. And then
Yeah.
Siakam Pascal, he's just again lighting the world on fire. 8 for 13, efficient as well. 7 for 8 from the charity. Double double with the I didn't even see that 13 rebounds.
Yeah.
What is
hmm
Marcus Gasol doing? Is he sleep at the wheel? Pascal is just taking all the rebounds from him. So Marcus Gasol owners are not liking that. And
No.
Kyle Lowry. I mean, what do you think, Starks? I know you had maybe some things you saw with this team. Everything just looks so just like a well-oiled machine here with those starters getting those high
hmm
minutes.
Nah, you
hmm
touched up on it. I'm sure White Knight has wants some piece of this, but I was just gonna say this. I'm more hurt because of I don't have Pascal in
Mm.
any leagues, and I
hmm
don't have Drummond in any leagues. So those are my hurtful regrets there. But I will touch up on Van Vliet. Van Vliet's still been under the radar pretty good this season. I still
Yeah.
think you're able to still probably sell him high a little bit per
hmm
se. So he didn't have the best of game, but Kyle Lowry, I will say this is that, people kind of earlier in the season was like, I don't know how he's going to be, throughout the season. I'll say this, the 39 minutes is nothing to take lightly, and it's good. I
Mhm.
mean, he's a veteran of the league, and it's him and Pascal and whoever else, right? But OG has been um, a nice breath of fresh air this year, and I know for anybody that picked him up again, you cut coupons with him. So I'll pass you the ball there, White Knight.
Absolutely, man. I just want to echo. You may think that Anunoby's blocks is an outlier here with 3, but he's actually averaging a block and a half each game.
Oh yeah.
So to get those kind of blocks from your forward position is just incredible, just like icing on the cake with all of his other stuff. So that's awesome. And Van Vliet, I really hope you took my advice after that first game when he went absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
That was the perfect sell that was the perfect sell high moment.
Yeah.
But I know it's like, oh my goodness, like he finally is getting the minutes. Kawhi's not there. Like this is gonna be a trend all year. But I mean, this is him. Like I say, like this is more accurate. 3 for 9. He made all his free throws. He got you 2 snipes, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, and 12 points. I mean, that's pretty solid Van Vliet. He like he'll get you somewhere between 12 and 16 points. Where it is, like LT was saying, it's the Pascal show and it's the Lowry show. And OG is coming to his own, and he's trying to do his best, like his best, like Siakam impersonation, because he kind of looks like him out there, like he's the same size. And so, it's definitely those 3. And then Serge had a wonderful game off the bench. He's definitely outplaying Gasol. I think they're doing that on purpose, just like a ceremonial start for him, and then they bring in Ibaka, who looks so much more fresher, so much more ready. So, yeah, if you are a Gasol owner, I'll say it again: press the panic button, trade him. If there's a hot free agent and you are in like a small league, then drop him. I wouldn't even think twice about it. So let's now that we're done gushing about the Raptors. Really quick though, I really like that Lowry's keeping up with his field goal percentage, because I was expecting that to drop here soon, but he's still keeping up at it, man. 8 for 15. I mean, it's still up there. So for now, he's still looking awesome. I am going to sneak that in. If you're able to sell him really high, please do it. But he's still doing great to where you just may want to keep him. So I totally get it. So next game here, I wanted to transition to the Rockets and the Warriors. Another freakishly high-scoring game, insane. The Rockets won 129 to 112. As we all know, the Warriors were missing their 3. As they continue their tank job, they were missing Russell, Curry, and Green.
I got it.
So it was the Pascal show. So I'm going to pass you the ball there, LT. What'd you see on the Warriors side?
I can't stand this. I can't stand these Golden State Warrior lines, man. I can't do it anymore, man. So my man Pascal, he is real. So I was watching the game. I was at the gym watching this game, and this guy Eric Pascal, he is actually a good driver. He's actually he looks like he belongs out there on this team. And then I look up and I see this guy scoring all these points. I'm like, man, is D'Angelo Russell in the game? No, it's Alec Burks. What is he? He's out there just
Alec Burks, baby. Go Buffs.
Alec Burks is out there just killing it. And I'm just like, is this 2015? Am I losing track of time? 10 for 18.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Go
birthday.
back into time. I guess I'm in Back to the Future. 10 for 18, 3 for 8 from the man, 8 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 assists. Alec Burks looked like a world beater out there. Now, unfortunately, he did. I just can't take it. The pool shark, I was wrong about him. He is not doing too much in the last couple of games. The big winners look like Pascal, Burks and Robinson look like the big winners there. Robinson the third
Hmm.
on Bowman. Bowman's been playing decent as well. Kai
Yeah.
Bowman.
Hmm.
What do you
Yeah.
think, Starks, on Golden State, man?
Right. So it's hooked on phonics with us guys. I think it's Eric Pascal. Is that right? I don't know.
Yep.
I think it's okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
we're gonna
I
always.
looked it up.
But but Kai Bowman, yeah, just like you had mentioned, LT. I think it's safe because he actually had to go to the locker room earlier today.
Ooh,
I
okay.
can't. I can't. I can't believe. You know how you've laughed about just looking at this team like you don't want to see these stats, but you secretly you're interested to see what's going on, right? And it,
Yeah.
you know, check this out. Listen, because I picked up Kai Bowman in a deep dynasty league. Why did I feel bad because he went to the locker room? I'm like, oh man, like
Oh
he's
man.
a super, exactly like he's a superstar in my head. Like, no, he's not. He's just a player. Like, what are you tripping about? But I thought that was funny because I'm like, oh man, Bowman is going to the locker room. Man, I'm gonna miss some stats. But
Man.
anyway, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at in
That's where we're
fantasy, man.
at.
That's where we're at in fantasy. The next man up. So, let me say this real quick. Willie Cauley Steins, man.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, I'm gonna
First.
tell. I'm gonna take this ball here from
Go
momentarily.
ahead.
Do it.
I know a lot of people were like, "Oh man, Golden State did the signing with Willie Cauley Stein." You know, the thinking and the logic was like, "Oh man, he has an opportunity to do well there." It makes sense because of Golden State's system, obviously with the starters and stuff of that nature. I get it. And then with all these superstars out, you would think maybe he would step up. He came out of his injury too as well, but it's not happening, you know. And I'll be honest with you, when it came up to these opening drafts this season, I was like, I still don't see it. And I was always hoping Kevon Looney would be the guy there
Mhm.
still, but even he's hurt. So you would think, okay, you have every opportunity to knock down the door. So what is the excuse at this point in time? You only got 19 minutes out of all the starters. You know what I'm saying? You got the pull start getting more minutes than you, right? You got Glenn Robinson the third getting more minutes than you, right? It's sad to say this. You almost got Omari Spellman almost getting more minutes than you. You know, Alec Burks, you know, happy birthday, LT. He gave this to you, right?
Yeah, man.
And
Happy
then
birthday.
come on, Damian Lee got more minutes than you. Paulie Stein, like, I'm sorry, brother. It's just I don't know what it is. I hope better days is to come. I'm cutting bait with him in shallow
Mm,
leagues. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
even. He should
yeah.
be available in your free agency. If he's not, and I don't know what to tell you. But if you're in a deep dynasty format, I understand that's a little bit different. But yeah, I just want to pass you the ball there, White Knight. I got nothing else there.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely move on there. Those were some good points for sure. Uh, let's move on to the Rockets side of the ball. Man, all starters had incredible lines, to be honest with you. I mean, I
Sure
don't
did.
even know where to begin.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man.
So, since it's LT's birthday here, I'm gonna pass you the ball there and let you talk about your boy Harden.
Hey, man. Sure. This is perfect because this is exactly the player I want to talk about on my birthday.
That's
James
right.
Harden, 35 minutes because, the beard gives him extra stamina. 10 for
Yeah,
10 for
that beard.
23. Efficient? Not really. 6 for 16 from the three. Who takes 16 threes? Like, huh? Like, are you kidding me? But he made 6 of them. So, okay, cool. 10 for
Yep.
13 from the charity. 13
Mhm.
assists. Actually, that is a stat that I do want Harden. I hate to say this, but I do want to see Harden improve on this year. To
Yeah.
kind of you be more of that facilitator. Understand Westbrook's going to kind of chip into that because he's also, whether people like it or not, he's actually a decent facilitator on a per
Oh, yeah.
game basis. But 13 assists from Harden, so he was definitely passing the rock somehow in
Talk
between
about
his 23 shots.
stats.
And then three. Look at
Yes,
these
please get to those.
3 by 3. I can't take it. Why is he blocking? Whose shot is he blocking? I guess it's probably Burks. Probably Burks because that's probably who he was guarding since Burks
It's
scored
probably
20.
Poole.
Yeah, it
It
probably
might be Cauley Stein.
Yeah.
So Harden 36 points. I did want to touch up on a player here. That oh man, we're having a house party again, y'all. Dan House. I
Yes, we
actually picked
are.
him up in 2 leagues of mine, and I just love what
Good.
he's giving me on a per game stat. He's like man, I can't think of a player to compare him to, but he's just secretly out there doing his job. And it's just
Mhm.
crazy he's able to fit in with this team, add a certain layer of defense. I watched, like I told you, I watched some of this game at the gym. He's adding some defense. He didn't get you those stock sats tonight. So usually he does get you at least maybe one block, one
Right.
steal in there. But so, you want to see a little bit more from there. But I love what he's giving on a back end. If he's still available, which he probably shouldn't be, but if the house party's jumping, go ahead and jump in there. What do you think, White Knight?
Hmm.
House party. Yeah. Boy, now what you got?
What you got?
Oh man, yeah. So, oh man, I agree with you 100%. If he's not owned, add him immediately.
Yeah.
Just those threes are insane, and I just want to echo. He usually gets you a steal or a block, usually a block. So that's an outlier. It's crazy. It's crazy that Tucker bounced back from his awful game.
Talk about Shut
I
up.
guess the Warriors are kind of like your. It's kind of like your get right game because they got no one there. It's like if you're struggling, let's face it.
Unless you're
Get right.
Portland. Unless you're Portland, then
Oh,
then you
Unless you're
lose.
Portland.
Yeah, unless you're
Oof.
Portland, then you lose.
Pascal did them dirty, man.
He looked like Harden out there. That's what he looked like.
He really did, man.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
goodness.
awesome.
But but yeah. Again, Chris Clemens didn't get any minutes, and you would expect him in a blowout game to get some minutes. So, I know that Starks is pretty bummed about that. I'm gonna let you have that, buddy.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's still. It's more of a dynasty guy. I would think you would still get him minutes. I don't know why.
Right.
Ben McLemore's getting these minutes still. Even it was like 19 minutes, which is fine, but Clemens should have a lot of that. But I think I've also give Clint Capella a hard time, and he had 6 slaps tonight. So good job, Capella.
Yummy.
And then I'll pass you back the ball because you guys covered pretty much everything on this aspect on Houston. If you want to go to the next game there, White Knight.
Yes, definitely. Oh my goodness, this is the highest scoring game so far right here. The Grizzlies and the Timberwolves. What is going on with these scoring games? 137 to 121. That's crazy. And that's really cool to see from the Grizzlies because, I mean, if you think back a few years ago, they hardly broke 100 points, maybe 5 times the whole season. Like, they were always like a grinded out, it's going to be an 86 to 84 game. But now they're scoring 137 points.
Let me steal the ball real quick. I think that's a good point because here's also a cheat code to the listeners. I put a tweet out there of the top 5 teams currently right now with the fast-paced offense. And what's crazy is Minnesota was slower last year. Memphis was slower last year. Guess what? Minnesota is number 2 in the fast-paced offense currently this season, and Memphis is number 5. So that's going to open, and this is before this game even happened tonight, right? So with that being said, the opportunity for those that want more stats for players on any team in the 9-cat category league, or even points in particular, you're going to get more stats for that opportunity. With the fast-paced offense, that means more shot attempts, more opportunities for defensive stats. That is beautiful to see versus having a slower pace offense, particularly. So that also means is if you have average Joe players that you can maybe stream, as Jacob would put out there for those streaming articles, which is very valuable. If you're able to stream one of these type of average Joes for the week that maybe has 4 games out of the week, they can potentially give you some extra boost in value as far as little stats. You might get an extra steal. You might get an extra block. Every stat counts throughout that week. But go ahead, Jacob. I just had to point that out there real quick.
That was a great point, Starks, and that was a great tweet by you. Absolutely, for sure. I did want to highlight on the Timberwolves really quick. Guess who's back?
Back again. Towns.
Yes.
The cat is out of the bag.
That's awesome.
He has returned from his cuddle sesh with Joel and to the tune of 34 minutes. He was 8 for 19. He was pumping up the volume. Uh, 3 snipes, made all of his free throws, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, 25 points. Now, what's crazy? That kind of seems like a letdown game from him because you
Mm.
expect him to just have monster games, even though that's a great game. Just monster games, especially from a team like the Grizzlies, who wanted to do like a fast-paced, uh, offense, as Starks was saying earlier. So he definitely should have had a better game, even though he still had an incredible game for sure. I'm gonna pass the ball there to LT, the birthday boy. What'd you see from the Timberwolves or the Grizzlies there?
I actually have a couple of insights on this game. Surprisingly enough, this game definitely caught my eye. One of the first things I want to mention to listeners is Jarrett Culver's
Yep.
ice cream.
Starks.
He had 29 minutes and he hit 5 for 13, not efficient, but 13 shots. I just mention that he had 13
Yep.
shots on a team with Cat on it, and
Mm-hmm.
actually has the last 3 games minutes have increased
Mm-hmm.
on this starting lineup. If he should, I don't know the percentages. I need to look it up, but I would imagine he's available in most leagues. I would maybe take a flyer on
Mm-hmm.
Culver with his minutes kind of staying around, hovering around that high 20 in the high 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes. Just take a look. He didn't give you any stock stats, but 7 assists. If he can come
Mm-hmm.
out and be that assist guy, I know. I think Jeff Teague was injured. I don't know how
Yeah,
long
he went out.
yeah, he was out. So I don't know how long that injury is, but the last 3 games, if that continues, or even if Culver continues to produce, Teague's an old guy. They may go get some ice cream after the games with Culver. And I want to jump over to Memphis, and I want to go with
And real
130.
quick,
Oh, go
he's
ahead, Starks.
no, real quick. I didn't steal the ball. Just on top of your point, he's only 8% owned in Yahoo. Go
Yeah.
ahead, man.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thanks, man. So with Memphis, you would think with 137 points, what I'm going to mention is, some a high point. No, I'm actually going to go to a low point. You would think as a a Triple J owner that I would be excited
Mm-hmm.
to see this amount, right? Oh man, 137 points. I'm sure Triple J went
Ugh.
off. I go ahead and look at the game. No, not at all. Zero for
Ugh.
five. 0 for 2. Now I don't know if he was on a minutes restriction tonight or not. I didn't look specifically into that. Maybe that's what it was, or maybe he just sucked and he took him out the
Yeah.
game. So for somebody who had this is just to put into perspective, for someone who had an offer earlier in the year for Brandon Ingram for JJR, that went ahead and stuck with Triple J. To tell you I'm having a little bit of remorse not going through with that trade is an understatement right now. Seeing
Uh-huh.
137 points and he scored 0 of them really hurts my soul. So I just wanted to mention that real quick and go ahead and pass it over to White Knight. What you think about Memphis, man?
Yeah, man. I, I, like if you were to tell me they scored all this and Jaren Jackson had 0, I'd say that you're crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's just insane.
Mm.
I do want to highlight on a player that we talked about earlier in that
Brooks.
trade. Yeah, that's Dylan Brooks, man. That is he had an incredible game. 9 for 16, 5 snipes, made all of his free throws, 8 for 8. I mean, he got to the line a lot. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. So he was ultra aggressive here, and you love to see that. So um, I definitely had him a few weeks as a streaming option, but I'm sure he's owned in too many leagues now in other platforms. But if he is available, think of, think of, think about streaming him, especially after what Starks was saying, that the Grizzlies just like to do this fast-paced offense, and that suits Brooks and Morant and Crowder and Brandon Clark for sure. So,
It didn't
think
work for Triple J.
what was that, brother?
It didn't hurt. It didn't help LT's birthday on Triple J.
Yeah, Triple
It
J,
did
right?
not, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Looks
He
like he felt.
definitely bummed you out on your birthday, man. That's not
Yeah,
cool.
I think there was a banana peel on the court, man, that he slipped on. 15 minutes
Mario
playtime,
Kart,
man.
man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Slipping out there. Oh man, it's gross.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, definitely definitely think about um, streaming these guys for sure, as Starks was saying. And I'm going to pass you the ball there, Starks. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch up on in this game?
Yeah, I do. Because it's funny as we're talking about this, the listener literally just asked me again, "Are you still willing to keep or actually go over the Draymond side
Hmm.
versus the Dylan Brooks?" I
Hmm.
still said, "Yeah, I am." So
Yeah.
I still stick with that. But the Triple J situation, LT, to kind of kind of help the pain, put the band-aid on it just temporary, is that yeah, he came back this game. This was terrible for sure, 0 for 5 in a goose
Mm-hmm.
egg on that point
Mm-hmm.
category. But better days is to come. So I do apologize
Yeah.
for that. That is sad. But again, we'll talk about Bruno Caboclo in a deep format. He only got
Yeah.
13 minutes, but the two slaps is really valuable in any format. And obviously, he hit a snipe. And I think that's all I got for this. So, in particular, you guys touched up on Culver. I thought that was really important.
Hmm.
LT, thanks for breaking that down. And
Yeah.
Code, you got that start as well too. Jeff Teague, it just only makes sense. Culver, I want to try to buy him in dynasty format. So I'll pass you back the ball
Mm-hmm.
there, White Knight. Went on the next game there, man.
Absolutely. Yes. So we have officially gone through every game that's finished. Now there is a game that's finishing up right now. It's the Magic versus the Mavericks, and this is a great game right now.
Oh
The
my
Magic
God.
are up 100-98 with 4 minutes to go. So this is definitely going to be a game to watch till the finish. Absolutely. But for now, we're going to look at what they've been up to right now. And again, the Magic, it's looking like solid
Oh my
stat
God.
lines
May
from
I steal
everyone.
the ball?
Yeah,
May
man,
I
absolutely.
steal the, may I steal the ball on Jonathan Isaac, man? Like my goodness. Listen,
Lovely.
this stat line is close to an original LT special. Nicholas Batum, a 5x5
Ooh.
type of game. He is one steal away at this point in time.
Hmm.
Maybe by the time you guys hear the podcast, hopefully he hits that five steal mark. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
basically, 5x5 is five steals and five blocks, right? And
Ooh.
five assists. He's one steal away. So 5 assists, 5 steals, and 5 blocks would be considered, I believe, a 5x5. And he is really close. And I'm gushing over this because this is another guy that I was beating drums on that I believe a breakout potential year is in his favor this year, and it
Mm-hmm.
definitely is just because of. And the funny thing is, I will change on players. But if I change on a player, there's two things that I will obviously I'll admit when I'm wrong, but I'll change on a player before a season starts and say, I was hard on because I was hard on him the first couple years in his career, right? And I was like, you know what, this year by some of the analytical things that I picked up last year and coming into the
Mm-hmm.
summer, I was like, you know what, I think this is the year where things is going to change to look better for him, and he is definitely fitting the bill. So I hope he gets that one more steal to get the 5x5 because honestly, that is nothing. I don't know if we've seen that for the last couple of years. So I'll
Hmm.
pass you back the ball, Jacob. I apologize for that, man.
No, I mean, I'm definitely glad that you stole that because I had no idea what he was doing. But that is a rare sight to see. And I was just going over a replay of one of Isaac's steals that turned into a fast break dunk, and he just looks so confident out there. He looks like a baller. So I mean, like, I really like his swag. I like what he's doing. I like his confidence. It's really sweet to see for sure. Um, so one guy, and I'm going to pass the ball here to LT. I want you to talk about the most polarizing guy probably on the Magic, and that's Aaron Gordon. What do you think about his game so far?
Yeah, man. Gordon's Fisherman, my guy. Just to speak out to our listeners, I want to you kind of talk to the people who also own Aaron Gordon. He's got you on this roller coaster ride this year. He started
Sure
off really
does.
low, and the last couple of games he has really sparked it up. He's been actually being more aggressive. That's the one thing I've seen in his game is just being a little bit more aggressive. And look at this, 16 shots, highest shots on the team, even with Vooch out there being a little bit more efficient than him. Well, Actually, not really, but they're both the top two, and I like exactly how the team's shot field goal percentage looks right now. Is what I want to see the Magic do more often. I want to see Aaron Gordon and Vooch taking the most shots, and then Jonathan Isaac kind of coming in with Fultz and Farina coming in on the back end there. So I really I like what I'm seeing. It sounds like just like with a couple of other players we talked about tonight, someone kind of tapped them on the shoulder. They say, "Hey, man, you might want to." Shoot the ball a little bit more, and so it's definitely helping. So keep an eye on Gordon. The fact that Gordon can do what he's doing tonight, and Isaac still almost get a 5 for 5, and if they can coexist in the fantasy world, that's awesome. That's music to people's ears, because they almost kind of overshadow each other. But if they can coexist and figure out a good mix, then as Jonathan Isaac just makes another shot here, I think that works best for fantasy owners. What you think, Starks?
I'm just still stuck on Isaac, man. You guys.
Yeah.
That's all.
Staring.
That's what I have. But no, I think like you had mentioned, Aaron Gordon, man, it's definitely a roller coaster ride, and I'm glad that I'm all out on him in particular. That it is unfortunate, but we will jump onto the Dallas side of things, and is Luka Doncic. I'll say this, he's doing a lot better. This is what we expected him to do, but I just was just like, I don't know if he can do it yet this year, but it looks like he's doing it. The percentages of what it was a concern for him last year. That's why a lot of people may not know, but he was like around the top 100 range last year. And that was kind of like, you're like, oh man, I don't know. And then Trae Young was killing it at the end of the season. He started out slow, but he started killing it at the end of the season. But this is a beautiful sight to see for those that invested a dynasty pick on Luka, because I'll be honest, I was just a little skeptical, because I'm thinking like, all right, if I'm going to pay a premium on Luka in a dynasty league, my mindset was like, I'm building for the future, right? But to get this love from him this year, this is beautiful. You're going to get the right now production on top of the future. So, and I believe, Jacob, I believe you got him in a dynasty format. So I know you're like the Joker over there with a smile on your face as well. As
That's
LT
right.
would say, smiling from ear to ear. So that's a beautiful thing. I will say this, that unfortunately, Porzingis, I'll touch up on this. This game is not. This is not too good of a game for him, unfortunately. But better days is to come. And what sucks is also, although it's a pedestrian 10 points and 7 rebound line, I was looking for maybe the slaps, but he didn't do that, and he was very inefficient too. So I'll pass you the ball there, White Knight, if you want to touch up on any of that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's just such a bummer. Porzingis didn't get you any blocks, and lately he's been the king at the threes and the blocks, which is super rare for centers. But I think this is just an outlier game, and he'll definitely bounce back and kill it next game, for sure. Another player I wanted to touch up on. I know that Maxi Kleber was questionable tonight. So it's really nice to see him be ultra efficient here, with 14 points, 2 assists, 3 rebounds. He's one of those consistent streamers that you can always rely on if you need that guy, for sure. Yeah. So, and we have a player who's coming out of the shadows here, Dwight Powell, who hasn't done much of anything this year, but he's getting 33 minutes now. He must be over that hamstring issue, because or I think it was his knee or his hamstring, I'm not sure.
And I'm going to steal the ball real quick.
Yeah.
I've got a report, because we're recording while games are going on. Ben Simmons has just a minor sprained AC joint in the right shoulder, so a reevaluation is coming Thursday here. So that report was dropped by Shams, by the way, so I'll pass you back the ball there, White Knight.
Well, that doesn't sound good. Even though that's his non-shooting hand, because he's left-handed, I mean, it's not that he's been shooting really outside. I don't think he's taken any threes yet, so I don't think he needs that. So he'll probably be back soon. But hey, man, I'm going to still pray for him. I hope for a speedy recovery, and that goes for Mitchell Robinson too. I hope he feels better soon, for sure too.
For sure.
Man, that's rough. Uh, but yeah, I mean that's all. Oh, Fultz had a solid game here,
Yeah.
11 points. I mean, where are those assists? I'm not sure, but he did get you 2 steals. He was 5 for 10, and Augustine's still getting more minutes than him. I don't like that. I wish they would just trade him away and just let Fultz have the keys, and then let like Carter Williams be the backup point guard, because Augustine's kind of capping him unless they think that he's being a mentor. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Uh, but hey, and I'm still I don't know about you guys, but I'm still waiting on Isaac to get that fifth
Yes.
steal, and maybe
Yeah.
like maybe it'll happen here and he'll dunk it for the win. You never
Right.
know.
It
But
definitely would be lovely. Oh, go ahead, man.
yes, absolutely. So, yeah, I was gonna pass it to uh, LT, the birthday boy. Did you see anything else you wanted to touch up on in this game?
Not really. You guys really much touched up on most of everything. Dwight Powell, yeah, keep an eye out on him. I don't know if he's. Again, I got to try to do my research on these percentages, but if he's available, he's definitely getting the minutes tonight. So definitely take a look out on my man Powell. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then real quick, just to kind of with this game in particular, because it's almost done. But I think what's an interesting thing to look at, as this is 7 seconds left in this game, Dallas up 107 to Orlando 106. Anything can change, obviously, after you guys listen to this podcast. But what is interesting is your boy Fournier is not in the closing time.
Mm-mm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
actually Augustine and Fultz. So that's interesting to see for those two guards to be out there over Evan Fournier. So I hopefully Isaac gets the steal, but if he doesn't, this was still an awesome stat line. So
Got a
even
rebound,
even yeah,
double
so even
double.
toil and
Mm-hmm.
trouble. So all, although there's still games going on, we can touch a little bit on this Philly game if you guys are okay with that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's go over to the 76ers and Jazz. There's about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Jazz are up 86-77. We'll quickly look um, at the at the inefficient big man Horford here. What a dud of a game after his monster game last game, and Embiid inefficient as all as well, and he's back from sus- suspension as well. Now, a beautiful sight to see is Josh Richardson just
Yeah.
turning it around, and there was a report today that he said that he was going to shoot his way out of his slump, because he has
Love
been
it.
slumping hard, and he did. He shot his way out against a nice Jazz team too. So I mean that's nice to see. And he also did what he does best. He got you 3 steals. He got you 2 snipes. He made all of his free throws. He got you 22 points. I mean, that is exactly what you want to see out of Richardson. So he definitely picked up the slack for the inefficient Horford, Harris, Embiid. I mean, they were all inefficient. So he definitely has picked up the slack this game. And I want to pass the ball over to you, LT. Anything anything noteworthy that you see in this game?
Yeah, a couple of things. So first thing is more than likely it looks like Raul Nato is going to be the one that's going to probably start at point guard, I would imagine, for Philly if Ben Simmons, kind of misses some time here.
Uh,
So because he's out there right now running. So definitely, if you were speculative I don't know how long Ben Simmons is going to be out, but AC joint. So Raul Nato is going to be your
hmm,
go-to guy. Already has 3 swipes, which
hmm,
he kind of does. From what I remember him last year, he is proficient in that area. So other than that, Bully is getting some decent run. He's not giving me any stock stats so far, so hopefully he can put it together in this last quarter. But
hmm.
Al Horford. You knew he was gonna have. He can't. That's unsustainable. What my man Al
Yeah.
Roker was doing. There's just no. There's just no sustaining that. So I'll kick it over to Starks. It looks like Bog over on Utah is having a good game as well as D Mitch.
Yes, so
Hmm.
Utah side is, Bogdanovich. I just, he's always a guy that I fade in particular because it's like I just always think of him in points. He's a valuable player,
Hmm.
but I think a player that I think is important to talk about. You guys, I love Mitchell, and I'll get to him momentarily.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what's kind of hurting is Mike Conley. Is he on a regression now? And
Mm.
this is this is
Yeah.
starting to look a little concerning. I'll be honest with you guys. And obviously, for me, I always be like, it's too early in the season to think this. It is too early this season to think that. But this is a tad bit concerning. Obviously, one thing that is you can't beat father time, right? When it
Mm.
comes to any sports.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that's where we're at with him in particular, right? But is it? Because right now, he has only one efficient game out of how many games this season? He's played about 8 to 9 games this season, and he's only had one efficient game of 29 points. Any other game other than that he has not scored more than 20 points. So it is an unfortunate thing. Like I said, if there is a buy low, if you want to take that risk, then go ahead and do it. But just keep this in mind to the listeners. He was a 43% field goal percentage shooter. So last year. So that also means you're an older player. The chances are like that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to bump up that field goal percentage, right? You're getting a little bit older, so there is a chance that that's going to drop. And I'm not saying that's okay, but he's still pretty much, I think he's about the 33 range as a player.
Mm-hmm.
But right now this year, he's shooting 31%. That is not something that's sustainable. It shouldn't be, but it's showing to me a little bit signs of some regression. Not only that, he's not pumping up the volume like he was last year. He was more of the player in Memphis when he was there. Of course, he's going to take a backseat to Donovan Mitchell, but he's only taken 12 shots versus the 16 attempts that he took last year, right? So that is a massive decrease. Another thing that's concerning, that's more alarming, is we remember Mike Conley. He's a guy that you're not excited to draft like in any leagues. He's always a solid player that it's almost like we overlook him.
Mm-hmm.
His steal rate is taking a regression. That's
Down.
not good. His assist is down. His rebounds
Hmm.
is down. His points is down. His 3 pointers is down. So, and here's another check this out. Its turnovers is higher this year, and that is another thing that's concerning. So every his free throw, everything, all the categories that I just said, that's pretty much everything that has taken a dip, and that's why I said it's a little alarming. Now, some of it is an outlier. If you want to buy low on him, I can understand, but I'll say this: if you're going to buy low on him, let me know. Who are you willing to buy or basically sell to get him? Because that is what I'm going to question, because I'll say this: I might be interested to buy him, but I'm not going to put my chips in and believe that he's going to have this massive bounce back, because I still think a regression is coming his way. And then I'll kind of transition to Donovan Mitchell. I predicted, at least for this year, after the sophomore slump that he had last year, I think he has a better year this year, and he's definitely been doing it. He's been a top 25 player, is what I expected so far this season. Hopefully, it still lands in that aspect, because he was going around the 33 to 35 range, and I thought that was a coupon cut that you were getting. So I'll pass you the ball there, White Knight, what you want to touch up on.
Absolutely, yeah. Really quick, Isaac did not get that last steal, so he was stuck
No,
on his first steal. I
no.
know. Shoot, like he let us all down, but really he didn't, because he
Yeah,
had an incredible game.
yeah.
um, yeah, I mean that's all I wanted to touch up on in the 76ers Jazz game. I, if we want to touch really quick on the Bucks and the Clippers game, even though they're only in the second quarter, we can do that before we go to the clutch shot there, Starks.
Sure.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, in this game, we got LT's boy Eric Bledsoe's actually having himself a day so far. 5 for 8. He 4 snipes, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, and it's not even halftime yet. I mean, his ears are burning. He's hearing LT, and it has fueled him. So if you were able to buy low or anything, at least for right now, or if you're able to sell him high right now, I would. I think LT would definitely suggest that. What do you think, LT?
Yes, sell high, for sure. I don't know what's happening, but he's. They might want to. The next guy they want to test out for PEDs might be Eric Bledsoe, because all of a sudden he is just killing it, and I have to give him his props. He's been efficient, and he's been taking care of taking care of the basketball just a little bit. He had 3 turnovers last game, but only 1 turnover in 2 games before that. So ever since he's been taking care of the basketball a little better, his points have been going up. 14, 22, 14, 18. I can't ignore that as much as I want to. He's been actually pretty good. So I would actually, in all seriousness, listeners, go ahead and stand pat on Eric Bledsoe. He seems to be turning it around. Just stand pat for now. But if you get a great offer, by all means, I don't think this is sustainable for him. But yeah, he's doing great. 4 3-pointers. Come on now, what's happening? But as far as the game is concerned, we got Montrez just going insane, and this is at the detriment of me. I actually have Zubac in multiple leagues, and I mean he's a big one of my back end big men, but he's actually been doing decent for me on a per game averages. But
You missed on all them cheap men this year, didn't you?
hey man, I went for Zubac. I should have went for Triscuits and biscuits. I don't know what I was doing.
Hey, man, they need to check and see if he's taking PEDs, man. That's
Bro,
what they need to
he's
check.
he's taking
Seriously,
he's
right?
taking something. I can't believe he's doing that well. Anyway, Montrez Harrell, he's going 7 for 10, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 block. And I know that they love their bench mob over in LA, but why doesn't Montrez and Lou start every single game? I get that. I get that. Whatchamacallit is not Kawhi's not playing tonight, and I guess Paul George isn't either. But man, can you just imagine a team of Patrick Beverly, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, Paul George, and Kawhi coming at you on as a starting 5?
Because they want to start Patty Mayonnaise, Patterson, man. Over there. That's
Man,
why.
that literally makes 0 sense to me. But whatever, I guess greater minds, Doc Rivers, right? But I'm gonna kick this over to you, Starks. What do you think about this game so far?
Nah, you guys touched up on everything because it's pretty much early. But it
Yeah.
only makes sense. I'm gonna always talk about him and hurt the listeners' ears. Is Curious George Hill, man. He's got 3 snipes for y'all.
Yeah.
So that's always lovely. So
That's
that's all I
right.
got. So we can kind of. Did you actually want to touch up anything on this game real quick, White Knight, before we get into the clutch shots, there, brother?
No. That was perfect. So I'm definitely down to go for the clutch shot there, Starks.
All right. So the clutch shot, I'll go ahead and take it. And the clutch shot that I will take is hopefully, as time progresses on, we can see players to start to transition. Actually, more, and what I mean by that is transition to be more in the rankings where they need to be at, versus where a lot of these players are at right now. Because like House, for instance, House Party, he's like the top 47 player. That's not to say that he can't do it, because you're in the Houston offense that has the highest. Actually, as I mentioned earlier, when I tweeted out the high pace teams and then the slow pace teams this year, I believe Houston. I have to go back to the tweet, but I believe Houston was the number 1 team in fast paced offense. So if you're getting those 5 starters, as LT always mentions, on certain teams that are getting most of those starter minutes, you're running that tight ship of 7 to 8 rotation players in particular on a high fast paced offense, then that's going to warrant you to get those nice extra lucky stats from time to time, or those extra incentive stats. So with that said, House, I'm not saying that he can't be a top 50. I think it's a little bit of an outlier. I mean, to me, he's a top 100 player. I think it's safe to say. But if he does finish within that range, I think that's interesting. So I wanted to say, like I said, it's just more, the clutch shot is just, we're going to probably talk about as the season goes along, that we talk about if it's sustainable. More of like this now. I think the next episode, because this was a loaded episode with a lot of games going on, I want to try to bring out players that's really terrible in their ADP rankings. Of course, it's like Mike Conley. He's not even in the top 100 right now, right? So could he be? You know what I mean? So that's going to be examples of what we want to bring. And obviously, we're going to give you more of a dynasty outlook. And I'll pass you the ball there, LT, if you have a clutch shot here, man.
Yeah, quick clutch shot. I actually was gonna touch up on Mike Conley real quick. So I have him in our listener points league, and man, I am still holding on to Conley in all formats. You have to. I spent, I believe, either a fourth round or fifth round pick on Conley. I did get him at a discount from what his original ADP was, but hold pat on him, man. I think that eventually he's going to figure it out. He's going to He's going to be not the player he was last year, but kind of like fall into a nice little middle range of that top 75. He's definitely a top 100 player, so he's going to be better than that by end of year. And then I also wanted to just do a quick clutch out. I don't know if White Knights knows this, but me and him are facing off podcast showdown in the points league.
I know.
Oh, he knows. And so I have it showing for our listeners. Right now I'm losing. But I am projected to win, but we'll see what happens. Right now I'm losing by about 40 points. So I just wanted to put that out there for the listeners to keep track of that heated showdown between me and White Knights. I'll send it over to you. White Knight, you got a clutch shot?
Projections, schmadirections. That's all I gotta say about that, LC. I will say though, since it is your birthday, it is your birthday, I totally botched that. I'm sorry. But, my clutch shot here is happy birthday to LT.
I appreciate it, man.
I hope you had a great day, brother.
Thanks, man.
And for your birthday, I'm going to call out that the Blazers are going to win tomorrow, and I'm going to call that Anthony Simons scores over 20 points for you, bro. How about that?
I hope so, man. I really do. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think that's gonna happen, but I hope it does.
Hey, man, it's for your birthday, though.
Yeah, well, I want to say this real quick, listeners. For some odd reason, I was ranting at work today. For some odd reason, they're resting Kawhi against the Greek Freak, but they're going to deploy him against the lonely Portland Blazers, who aren't doing well right now. I just don't understand their thinking or logic here. Wouldn't you want to put him against Greek Freak and then, kind of scale back for Portland? Blazers can't catch a break. We're gonna get a full power Clippers.
They wanted to save the bullets for you on your birthday.
Hey, of course they do. I guess I get to see Kawhi versus the Clippers. Kawhi versus Damian Lillard tomorrow. Yay me.
So yeah, I guess I'm gonna also say this to you, man. Happy birthday to you, LT, man. We're looking forward to. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and just since it's like we're in overtime, man. This is gonna probably be the longest podcast. But hey, to the listeners, I'm sure that actually there was a listener that reached out and was like, I actually love the long episodes, which was surprising. I'll be honest to the listeners. When I listen to podcasts, when I listen to podcasts, honestly, for me, it's like I like to have an hour or less, but if it's great content like what we're trying to push out for you, hopefully you guys love it, and just let us know if there's anything in particular. I think it's important, like the list that we give you. If you have questions that you want to see something on the podcast or hear something, we'll talk about it. Feel free to reach out to us. But I do want to say this, LT. I was trying to think of something clever to say, but it's just not coming on your birthday right now. So I will, maybe if I give out we give out our Twitter handles and stuff, something can formulate. So you guys can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at @Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, OneClosingHero. I'll pass you the ball, White Knight. Where can they find you at, man?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Ain't Done Yet, and done is spelled Dunne. I hope you guys follow me and follow the streams and just ask me anything you want. And God bless. I'm gonna pass the ball there to you, birthday boy.
I appreciate it, man. Y'all can find me on Twitter at Sage Network X, or you can find me on IG where I'm pretty much on IG all day at _ Sage Network _. Remember, we are pumping out a lot of these episodes I'm able to jump onto. We're pumping those out on YouTube and on Facebook. So once you see those come out, go ahead and jump in there, give us a like, subscribe, support us, and so we can continue to give you great content on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think I don't have nothing clever to say, but more of ask you of this of, we're looking for the Sage Eyes article, man. What's going on there, bro?
Oh yeah, so the Sage Eyes article, just as far as the Sage Eyes article, man, he's still looking for the
Okay.
article, the ways of the hands and the fingers to motion into just quality content like Jacob and Starks provides. I'm delving into
Mhm.
the digital aspect right now, but as soon as I get that hampered down, I'll give you guys an article. I promise. Sage sealed. I'll give you guys
Looking
an
forward
article.
to it, brother.
Sage sealed.
Sage sealed, huh? Yeah, it's funny. I try to
Right.
I try to
All
prolong
right.
that time, and I still didn't find anything clever to say. So uh, I will always I'll say this. It's good to always have a rivalry with you because I don't know, like Jacob, man. I'm getting busted up in the points league, man. I
I
gotta
wasn't
get
gonna
back.
I wasn't gonna say anything about it, but yeah.
Oh no, it's okay, man. Birthday boy, you got free reigns. But I'll say this: it kind of sucks because now I'm so hard onto this diamond rating in Yahoo. It's easily jumping down. Like
Mhm.
you can lose one match and it plummets like drastically down. So, man, to the
Right.
listeners, maybe this year. I'm thinking about it. It kind of depends on how. Oh wow, I finally said the D word after all this time. But all that it depends, and what I mean by that is maybe sometime if we have time, if you guys are interested into a listener league of a new life league, maybe next year or even currently to get enough listeners, maybe we could do something like that. We do all types of
Mhm.
formats, so want to at least put that out there. If you're interested, let us know. And
Mhm.
we love you, listeners. It's always a blessing to have you guys, and I'm thankful to have this staff that is pushing and putting the hard work in, and we're trying to do daily episodes as well as pumping up the volume when it comes to articles. And LT is working on the basically the YouTube and Facebook to get us out there. Again, you guys will see me soon, hopefully to come off the mask. So you guys have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.